This week, we're looking at portrait lenses. You always understand portrait lenses are kind of in the range of, well, it could actually start as low as 75, 85, 90, 100, 105, 135, so on in that range. But they tend to be also fairly large lenses, right? Well, this week I want to look at pocket portrait lenses. I mean, this is a Olympus 100 millimeter f2.8, and it's I mean, look at that. This thing is like the size of a 50, and even a small 50, if that, and it's 100 millimeter. So that's what the focus is going to be this week, is on pocket portrait lenses, things you can just toss into your pocket and grab your camera and off you go. You don't need any big bulky backpacks and things like this, camera bags. So that's going to be the focus this week, so stay tuned, and let's look at a handful of samples that I have anyway, and see what you think about that. So stay tuned, and here we go.
Here I am, Vietnam.
This is Camera Talk with Dr. Scott. All right, as the intro said, this week we're looking at portrait lenses, but not your run-of-the-mill portrait lens that that most photographers have. Being, again, the range from 75 up to 135, in that range anyway. So you're looking at lenses that are fairly big. I mean, my 135 there, you can see is,
That's what she said.
it's like this long. My 85 Batis, is not too big, but it's big this way. So generally, a lot of portrait lenses tend to be large. So this week the kind of focus is on what I call pocket portrait lenses, and the beauty of that is, instead of having to lug around a big camera bag or a backpack or whatever and kind of advertising, hey, I'm a photographer, come steal my stuff. If you could just bring your camera along with you. Let me get rid of this. This is also my Sony 55 millimeter, very nice lens as well. But if I could just bring along, as the intro, my little 100 millimeter Olympus, and again, all I have is the body, and maybe a couple of these lenses, or even just one lens. It's again going to save space, save weight. This is 230 grams, so it's very light, very easy portable to bring around. So that's what we're going to focus on today. I have just 4 samples that I grabbed. They range in sizes, physical sizes, but they also range in focal lengths as well. I have my 2 Olympuses here, my 85, my 100 millimeter, my Minolta 85, and my Tamron 90 millimeter. Now, again, they range in sizes, and some of them may look bigger than they should. That's because I have adapters on them, because they're, again, they're vintage lenses, and I need to mount them on my Sony A7R II to make use of them anyway. So that's what basically what I'm getting at here is the fact that you could take something very pocket size and get the quality and the resolution and colors and sharpness and bokeh and all that stuff you can get out of these little lenses that you can get from the big modern lenses that we have today. So the only thing you're missing here, of course, is autofocus. These are all manual focus, but generally for portraiture anyway, your subjects aren't running around too much. Now my samples, of course, I tend to use my son Dylan as my model. And back when I started this channel, he was a lot younger and pretty much sit in one place in a stroller or somewhere, because he couldn't move a whole heck of a lot. From one point to another, that is. So he would tend to be behaved and sitting in one place. Well, now he runs around like a little madman, so it's very tough to get him to sit still to get a good picture. So some of the samples I'm going to be using are kind of just snapshots. They're not real portraiture, but I still just want to show you what the lens can do from the distance that I'm shooting photos of him with. Since I do them all in this room, for the most part. Sometimes I go out in the living room and grab him if he can't handle being in here for a length of time. But I'm also going to put in some samples of other portrait photos, just to show you again, using those lenses, what the results can be. So let's start off anyway with you know, what I did in order. Let me get this. So this, as I said, each one of these requires an adapter, and the adapter itself is fairly large because, again, you have to take into consideration the lens was designed, you know, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s for SLRs, you know, and so there was mirrors and things they had to, you know, the sensor was behind the mirror, so they had that distance that the rear element was going to be away from the sensor. So the adapters tend to make up that space, so that you're getting the equivalent results as if you were shooting on the original camera it was designed for. So I started off with 100, just coincidentally, you know. I'm not going in order of focal length or size or anything else. I just started off with 100, so that's what I'm going to talk about here. So so this is an adapter OM, which is the mount for Olympus, to NEX, which is the mount for Sony. Now, as you can see on the Sony, it's you know, looks like a 50, you know, pretty much for the size of the lens and what you get out of it. It's very light, again, 230 grams, so it's pretty easy going. Now this lens is pretty famous. You know, the 100 millimeter back in the day was a great focal length for portraiture, for sports and whatnot. You know, it's a good length to, you know, you had that distance, but you could still get in, you know, get in to see the action, so to speak. 2.8 isn't the fastest in the world, but it's not the slowest either. So it's kind of not a bad focal length. The big brother to this, the 100 millimeter f2, is a lot larger. So it's 2.8, the other one's f2, but yet it's, you know, twice the size and the weight as well. It's very heavy and expensive, you know, versus this one. This one's only, you know, a couple $100. The other one, you know, goes up $500-600. So so this one's good enough, as they say. And you know, they made the Zuiko line through the 1970s, 80s, up into the 90s, and so this one is, you know, read the faceplate. It's an E Zuiko, and of course the E, any of the alphabet in front of the Zuiko designates the number of elements in the lens. So E, the 5th letter of the alphabet, so therefore 5 elements. So there's 5 elements in 5 groups. You know, its close focus is kind of typical for this range too, being a meter or 3.3 feet. 6 aperture blades. So, you know, the bokeh is great wide open and whatnot, but when you stop down, you start getting the hexagonal shape, because of the blades crossing over. So you don't get that round bokeh balls like you would with a higher number of rounded blades. As I said, it's 230 grams. And as I said, it's a great lens for what it is. The size of it is 100 millimeter. So as per my usual standard operating procedure, is I get a photo of the Canon M50 that I shoot my videos with, and I focus in on the nameplate on the end of the kit lens. It's a 15 to 45 EF M lens. So I get you a shot of that, then I'm going to include some shots that I took with this lens just yesterday of Dylan running around, and then I'll throw in some photos of you know, regular portraits done with this lens as well, just so you can see, you know, again, the quality of the lens. So let me do that. Let me try to focus in as tight as I can. So where's the end of the lens? And here. All right, very good. So 1, 2, 3. All right. Here's some shots of Dylan. And here's some shots of, you know, regular real portraits done with the 100mm. Okay, so that was the 100. So that, you know, again, Olympus, they have the 2.8 and then the f2, which is, you know, obviously more sought after, but you pay the price if you're going to buy an f2 compared to the 2.8. So let me put the 100 away, move on to its kind of little brother, the 85. Now this is an 85 F Zuiko, and again, so that, you know, F is the 6th letter of the alphabet, so it has 6 elements. But this is an F2, so it's a larger, you know, again, a larger aperture than this. But as you can see, you know, if I put the take the cap off, if I put them together mount to mount, the 100 is barely, you know, maybe 2mm longer than the 85.
There's so many different sizes.
And it's an f2, so it's even a bigger aperture. So again, Olympus was you know, right on the ball when it came to making small pocket-sized lenses. And you know, this f2 is, you know, lets in lots of light. You know, it's great. It's sharp. The bokeh is wonderful. See the differences too. We had 6 blades in the 100. We have 8 blades in the 85. So the bokeh, you know, when you stop down, is actually a little rounder than the 100. And so the specs on it, of course, as I just told you, 6, because it's an F Zuiko. So we have 6 elements in 4 groups. The close focus matches the focal length, even though it's 85mm, but it's 85 centimeters for the close focus. So that's 2.8 feet for those in the imperial system. So as I said, it has 8 blades, and it's a little heavier. You know, a little heavier because it's got more glass in it and whatnot. So it's 260 grams. But it's, you know, again, still it's the size of a like a 50mm lens on here, and it's, again, something you can toss into your pocket, and that's with that adapter. So again, it's truly pocket size. And it's great quality. You know, again, Olympus with their Zuiko line was quite famous for putting out good quality product. So again, let me get a picture of the end of the lens. So let me magnify so I can get in nice and close. Now this is again at f2. All right, 1, 2, 3. And just as all vintage lenses, you know, it's sharp wide open, but it's sharper by stopping down to like 2.8 or f4. So in my samples, of course, I'm going to show you, you know, I did a couple different shots of Dylan. You know, I did one at wide open and then one at f4 for each one of these. So you'll see two sets of samples. Forgot to mention that with the 100 millimeter. So anyway, that was the shot of the lens, the end of the lens. Here's some shots of Dylan. And here's some shots of, again, other true portraits taken with the 85 f2. All right, so that was the my two Olympus samples, and as I said, I can't emphasize enough just how small these lenses are. I mean, they are truly a pocketable lens. Now moving on to one that's kind of just as famous as well as being small. Again, this has the an MD, which is Minolta to NEX adapter, and as you can see, you know, it's fairly thick. It's an inch or so thick. But without it, you can see the size of the lens. Again, this is an 85, and yet it's the size of a 50, and a small 50 at that. It's not even, you know, a big one. It's like today's, you know, if you get a Canon M50, it's about the size of that, but it's an 85 f2. So it's, you know, again, it's a great pocketable lens. So let me put this back on here. Oh, did I add to the right place? Where am I here? Do. Oh, wait, I'm having technical difficulties. Please stand by. There we go. Get it locked in. All right, so so this goes from f2 all the way to f22, as do most of these, except my 85 only goes to f16, but the rest go to f22. So again, the history behind this one a little bit. You know, Minolta, of course, is again world famous for their the quality of lenses that they put out in the past, and this one in particular is their MD line. Now it's the third version of the MD 85, and that's the most sought after version. It's sharp. It's the colors, the you know, the quality of the photo, the rendition, the background quality, the bokeh, you know, is all top of the line. There's a lot of photographers out there that will argue that this particular lens can compete with modern lenses. That's how well Minolta designed this.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
This 85. I tend to lean in that direction as well. That it is one of my favorite 85s. It's you know, really decent quality, top of the line. And so there's no complaints at all from me. Now this particular one, because again, this is the third version of the MD, and this particular one was made in 1981. So it was back when I was a junior in high school. Anyway, it's a great quality lens. The technical aspects of it. 6 elements in 5 groups, so it's a little different than the 85 we just looked at from Olympus. But 6 elements in 5 groups, but it has the same close focus as the Olympus. It's 85 centimeters, or 2.8 feet. The thing with the blades, though, is there's 6 blades as opposed to 8. But still, the quality of that bokeh, as I said, is still very good. Even though when you stop down and the bokeh changes to a hexagonal shape and whatnot, is still good quality. The blur is still nice as it transitions from in focus to out of focus is sweet in that regard. And it's 280 grams, so again, it's heavier than the 85. So we went from 230 to 260 to 280, so it's getting heavier. But again, with the size of it, as I said, the size of it is like a 50 millimeter. Again, it's pocketable. But the quality, as I keep saying, the quality of it is really where the greatest selling point on this thing is anyway. So I want to give you the shot of the end of the lens, just to show you, again, its capabilities. So there we go. 1, 2, 3. That is that. And I just looking through the electronic viewfinder on this, I can see really again where that quality is coming from. I can see the difference in sharpness. This is wide open, by the way. This is not stopped down. Wide open compared to the Olympuses that I just showed you. This is a much better quality lens. So here's some shots of Dylan running around. And here's some shots of other portraits done with the 85 MD version 3. Okay, and that was my my Minolta sample. Again, can't talk highly enough about this. It is a truly excellent pocket portrait lens. Now the last one I want to talk about, and again this is with an adapter. So let me get that off. So again, the Nikon to NEX adapters are, again, an inch added to this Tamron. This is a Tamron 90 millimeter, and it's a 2.5. It's kind of an oddball aperture, but this Tamron is not only a 90 millimeter portrait lens, it's also macro. So it has multiple strengths. So it's not just great for taking photos of people in a pleasing and complementary look to the face, but also you can get in as close as 39 centimeters or 15 inches. You can get in this close with a 90 millimeter, and that's saying a lot. That's putting a lot of power into the hands of the person using this lens. So again, it's the biggest out of the group. It's the heaviest. It's 420 grams. So it's it's a bit of a beast. But it's entirely metal, except for the lens cap is plastic. But other than that, this is a tank. This thing is built to last forever. Now there's different versions of this. This is the 52B. Now it's a SP, Tamron SP, Adaptall 2. Now it's as I say, a 52B is the metal monster, and it was made from 1979 up to 1988, which is when they remade this, but in a plastic version. Plastic fantastic. Same optics and everything, but you know what happens with plastic, right? It's only got a limited shelf life. So you know, this is all metal. This is gonna outlive me, so I'll probably leave this to Dylan in my will if he chooses to take up photography. But anyway, it's a great portrait lens. You know, it's known for its sharpness. You know, it's a fantastic sharp lens. You know, the bokeh is great. You know, it's got 8 aperture blades, so you know, just like with the 85, you know, it's got rounder bokeh balls as as you stop down. Again, at 2.5, it's sharp, wide open. You know, one of the only negatives that you hear people speaking about this thing is because it has a flat back element. Sometimes under the right conditions, or wrong conditions, if you want to look at it that way, if the sun is just hitting it just right, you may end up with a purple spot in your photo, and that's because of the light reflecting off the sensor creates a purple spot. But you almost have to do it on purpose to get it to happen. So don't get freaked out thinking, oh, I'm never going to buy that lens because I'm going to have purple spots. It's not that common, but just to let you know that that does. There's a possibility of that happening, by the way. So again, this is the Tamron SP 52B. It's 8 elements in 6 groups. Its close focus distance, as I said, because of the fact that it's also a macro, is 39 centimeters. So 15 inches or so. That's pretty good for a 90 to be able to get that close. So 8 blades, 420 grams. But as I say, it's got a great reputation for sharpness and durability. And so it's not very big at all, especially without the adapter. It's something you can carry in your pocket, but at 420 grams, it's a little heavier than these guys. So you might have to put it in a jacket pocket that's a little more robust than just your little summer blazer, so to speak. So anyway, let me get you a shot of the end of the faceplate here. Alright, so again, wide open. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and here's some shots of Dylan. Again, up close because he was like right here, but because the close focus is so short that I could still get him a nice picture. Pretty much fills the entire frame of just his face, but you'll see the results of that here. And as well as some other portraits that I took using using this lens. All right, so that was my little collection of pocket portrait lenses, as they say. They're very not only are they cute, but again, how great is it to be able to go out on a shoot without a backpack full of lenses and everything. If you can just stick a couple of these in your pocket, or even attach one to the body of the camera, and then leave the house with that. You don't even have to carry anything. How great is that? So in the world we live in, the only other sample of doing such a thing is with this. This is your pocket portrait lens right here. which everybody has in their pocket. But these, you know, these are not all that much heavier than your phone. So, but they have better quality than your phone does. So, can't beat that. Anyway, that's all I had for you this week. So, you know, if you're in the market for some portrait lenses that you don't want to have to lug around with you because of their size and their weight, consider some of these vintage lenses. Again, because portraits and portraiture is all about basically people sitting in one spot or standing in one spot and not moving. So vintage lenses, manual focus is not that much of an issue. You know, today's cameras, we have focus peaking, we have magnification to you know, zip in on your subject to get it nice and focused, nice and crisp before you release the shutter, and you're done. Manual focus lenses are great for that, because, you know, autofocus is super too, but autofocus is not a perfect science as well. Sometimes it picks up things that the camera thinks that you're focused in on, but you're not. You know, it may decide to focus in on the chin or focus on the ear or focus on the eyebrow without really getting that eyeball in focus. So that's where manual focus is kind of got its strength, is it gives you, the photographer, that complete control over getting as focused as you want, based upon, you know, the eyeball, if that's what you're focusing in on. So anyway, that was it from me. So last thing I want to talk about, well, not last thing, but next thing I want to just mention is, you know, if you're, you know, now that you've taken photos and everything, you want to edit those photos. You know, it's my little plug for Luminar and Luminar AI. I have both. That's what I use to edit my own photos. And, you know, the benefit of Luminar is that it's like a Lightroom or Photoshop or all the others out there, but it's a one-time price. It's only $89, or sometimes on sale even cheaper, and it's yours for life. You download it, it's yours. You don't have any monthly fees or anything. You know, you update for free. And if you want to save $10, click below on the little link that I provide in the description. You save $10, so it's $79. Or if it's on sale for something else, you know, if it's $59, you get it for $49. You know, how can you say no to something like that? Again, you can read up on Luminar. There's all kinds of great reviews out there and whatnot. So do yourself a favor and pick up that software. Does me a little favor too. I get a little kickback for that.
$1 million.
So anyway, so if you like what you saw today, give us a thumbs up, because we love the thumbs up girls. And do me a favor, you know, as well as to help expose my channel. Subscribe to my channel. That's right, subscribe to this channel. And in case you weren't paying attention, subscribe to this channel. And you know, if you want to see the weekly one, turn on the notification. If not, that's okay. You know, subscribe, doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't burden your YouTube account or anything else.
No way.
So last thing I want to say is, living in a world of COVID, you know, with all the variations out there, and the last one, this Delta one, being stronger than ever. Be safe. You know, get vaccinated. Anti-vaxxers, it's fine for you to think about your freedoms and everything else, but when it kills you, you know, it's going to kill you. Or not, depending if you're lucky. But anyway, wear your mask if you're told to. Social distancing, and wash your hands, all that good stuff until this thing goes away. Otherwise, everybody talks about getting back to normal. We're never going to get back to normal if, you know, everybody doesn't cooperate and get this thing gone. And I know people talk about, oh, it's like the flu. The flu kills 600,000 people a year. This thing kills millions of people so far. So it's, you know, it is a much stronger and aggressive version than the flu. So it's not the flu. Anyway, you stay safe. Come back next week. Remember, you belong here. And this was Camera Talk with Dr. Scott, brought to you by Modesty Photography. So we're here to save you money. We're here to teach you something you may not have known, give you little tips or insights to things. You know, it's here mostly as entertainment, you know, something to do. But, you know, again, for people who may not have known about these, there you go. Now you know about these little pocket portrait lenses. So have yourself a great day. Have a great week. And we'll see you next week. All right? Bye-bye.
Here I am, Vietnam.